Distinct characteristics of arts and representative artists during the Renaissance and Baroque period. Objectives. 1. Identify and describe the distinct characteristics and the representative artists during Renaissance and Baroque periods. 2. Appreciate the contributions made by the representative artists through employing the characteristics and styles in one's work. 1. His outstanding works as a sculptor were the following: PIETA, Bacchus, Moses, David, Dying Slave, Dawn, and Dusk. A. Michelangelo. B. Da Vinci. C. Donatello. D. Caravaggio. 2. His unique draftsmanship and compositional skills were his main contributions to art. A. Michelangelo. B. Da Vinci. C. Donatello. D. Raphael. 3. Identify the appropriate word using the pictures in each box. Use the scrambled letters as clues. 4. His famous works are The Last Supper and MONALISA. A. Michelangelo. B. Da Vinci. C. Donatello. D. Raphael. 5. Identify the appropriate word using the pictures in each box. Use the scrambled letters as clues.
'What are the characteristics of Renaissance art?' The Italian Renaissance began in the late 14th century. It was the period of intellectual and great artistic achievement with the birth of secular art. Humanistic and realistic art were the focus. Characteristics of Renaissance art: accurate anatomy, scientific perspective, deeper landscape. Renaissance art was also a rejection of medieval themes or styles and is more secular. It was a heavy influence of classical Greece and Rome. What are the characteristics of Baroque art? Rome, Italy is where the Baroque style started and spread to most of Europe. It was the period of artistic styles in an exaggerated motion, tension, drama, and grandeur. It is influenced by the developments in science, geometry, and astronomy. It is a period of irregular stylistic tendencies, informed by Mannerism and the Council of Trent. Famous Renaissance artworks and artists.
Michelangelo di Ludovico Buonarroti Simoni,
An Italian sculptor, painter, architect, poet, and considered as the greatest living artist in his lifetime, and one of the greatest artists of all time. His works in paintings, sculpture, and arch. His outstanding works as a sculptor were the following: PIETA, Bacchus, Moses, David, Dying Slave, Dawn, and Dusk. Raffaello Sanzio di Urbino. Raphael, an Italian painter and architect of the High Renaissance period. His unique draftsmanship and compositional skills were his main contributions to art. The Sistine Madonna, the School of Athens, and the Transfiguration were his famous works. His last painting was the Transfiguration, which he worked on up to his death. Leonardo di Piero da Vinci, a painter, architect, scientist, and mathematician, was popularized in present times through a novel and movie entitled Da Vinci Code. He was known as the ultimate Renaissance man due to his talent, intellect, interest, and his expression of humanist and classical values. The Last Supper, the most reproduced religious painting of all time. Mona Lisa, the most famous and most parodied portrait, are his well-known works. Donato di Niccolò di Bettobà di Donatello, an early Renaissance Italian sculptor from Florence and one of the Italian great artists of the period. Known for his bas relief work, a form of shallow relief sculpture. David, statue of St. George, equestrian monument of Gadamelta, Prophet Habakkuk, and the Feast of Herod were his statues and relief sculptures.
Famous Baroque artworks and artists.
Michelangelo Merisi or Amerigo da Caravaggio, better known as Caravaggio, an Italian artist who wanted to deviate from the classical masters of the Renaissance. Studies of single figures followed, but they are clumsier than the fruit, which gives their savor of originality and charm. His models at this period were either himself or young persons who have an air of being promising but wicked. Peter Paul Rubens, a Flemish Baroque painter, paintings of mythical and figurative subjects, landscapes, portraits, and counter-Reformation altarpieces, where he is well known for religious subjects. History paintings of magical creatures and hunt scenes are his mostly commissioned works. Samson and Delilah, landscape with a tower, portrait of Helene Formant, and the Three Graces are his famous works. Gian Lorenzo Bernini, the first Baroque Italian artist, the last in the list of the dazzling universal geniuses and a prodigy. Skillful in painting, sculpture, architecture, and stage design, he was also a playwright.
Piazza San Pietro, one of his most innovative and successful architectural designs. The famous Ecstasy of St. Teresa and the colonnade of the Piazza of St. Peter's, Rome, were his greatest achievement. Rembrandt Herman van Rijn, a brilliant Dutch realist, painter, and etcher in European art, he was considered as one of the greatest painters and printmakers. Fascinated with spiritual values and frequently chooses religious subjects. His concept of himself continued to deepen in grasp and subtlety, and his technique grew more daring. Popular work was self-portrait in old age. Diego Velázquez, an artist from Spain, one of the finest masters of composition, and one of the most important painters of the Spanish Golden Age.
Passion for still life frequently emerges in his art. The Surrender of Breda, Las Meninas, the Maids of Honor, Los Borrachos, the Drinker, and Maria Teresa are his famous works.
Quiz. Identify the following statement. 1. One of the finest masters of composition, and one of the most important painters of the Spanish Golden Age. A. Bernini. B. Rembrandt. C. Velázquez. D. Caravaggio. 2. Piazza San Pietro is one of his most innovative and successful architectural designs. A. Bernini. B. Rembrandt. C. Velázquez. D. Caravaggio. 3. His models at this period were either himself or young persons who have an air of being promising but wicked. A. Bernini. B. Rembrandt. C. Velázquez. D. Caravaggio. 4. The Pieta and David were the two of his best known works and were sculpted before he turned 30. A. Michelangelo. B. Da Vinci. C. Raphael. D. Donatello. 5. Mona Lisa is the most famous and most parodied portrait he made. A. Michelangelo. B. Da Vinci. C. Raphael. D. Donatello. Thank you for watching. For more videos, please like and subscribe.